The fourth installment of the horror series, The Changeling on Apple TV+, titled The Wise Ones, centers on Apollo Kagwa's quest to find his wife Emmy Valentine in order to wreak revenge on her for killing their son Brian. When Apollo meets William Wheeler, an app developer who befriends the former in order to purchase a first edition, author-signed copy of To Kill a Mockingbird, his life takes a dramatic change. William explains to Apollo his genuine motivations for their meeting after getting to know him, and this helps Apollo find the wise ones. The engrossing episode ends with multiple ambiguous developments, and let us share our take on the same. Spoilers ahead. In the opening scene of The Wise Ones, a young Lillian Kagwa is shown carrying a crimson suitcase to the end of a pier while clearly suffering from facial injuries. Currently, William is waiting for Apollo and Patrice, and he makes a hefty offer for the first edition copy of To Kill a Mockingbird. Apollo finds out about a tribute to Brian Kagwa page from Patrice, which greatly enrages him. When William shows there, he leads the two guys to a boat and explains that he is buying the book with all of his savings. William wishes to give his wife Greta the same thing in the hopes that she will return it to him after receiving it. Apollo thanks Lillian for helping to plan Brian's funeral as he meets Emma's sister. He continues by saying he hasn't yet gone to his son's grave. He finds out that Emma is still alive by a string of texts he gets from an unidentified phone in the interim. Apollo uses a map that the recipient of the communications sent him to find the person who is sending the messages. It doesn't take him long to figure out that William is the one who texted him. Following an argumentative exchange, William says he has proof that Emma is still alive. The app developer continues, saying that they choose to look for Emma on the same island in the East River. Following a background investigation on William, Patrice tells Apollo that the app developer is who he says he is. After that, Apollo travels to the island with William in search of Emma. Apollo finds himself on the island searching for Emma, only to be met by a gang of armed men who escort him to their commander, Calendar. The Wise Ones are a covered organization that has been active in New York City for many years. Cal is their head. The Wise Ones, a group of moms under Cal's leadership, are dealing with a variety of issues, from insomnia to postpartum depression. The Changeling story serves as the basis for Cal and the Wise Ones' acts. Cal tries to use a story to explain to her how his son was only an illusion when Apollo is introduced to her. It is plausible to assume that Cal is attempting to claim that Emma killed an imposter rather than her own son Brian by tying the story to the series title. Cal has been able to persuade moms that their real babies are being replaced by changelings or monsters. The moms go out to kill the imposters in the hopes that doing so will help them find their real baby once they start believing what Cal has said. However, Cal's actions had very negative effects. A number of Wise Ones were killed when the husbands of these murderers found Cal and recovered group. In order to avert similar assaults, Cal relocated the Wise Ones' base to the island. She also tells Apollo that in order to protect them, their gang killed a number of these men. Cal might not be in a rush to kill Apollo and William, even if she and her people have killed fathers and husbands in the past. When the others entered her zone brandishing guns, Cal slaughtered them. She might offer Apollo and William another opportunity at life because they don't aim to hurt Cal or anybody else. As long as Apollo and William refrain from attempting to harm Cal and her allies, they are free to discover the inner workings and principles of the Wise Ones. William's involvement in Apollo's personal life has left Apollo questioning why the former is assisting the latter. When the app developer helps the used book salesman find himself on the island, the former questions the latter about his help, to which William replies that he is only going with Apollo so he won't feel alone. But William is not just guiding Apollo to the island of the Wise Ones. He has other ulterior motives. It took him a long time to find the island, as Apollo was the first to notice it on his initial expedition. William, who is a wise one like Emma, asks Apollo's assistance in reconciling with his wife Greta. Greta killed one of her two daughters, much as Emma had killed her son, which had a terrible effect on Greta and William's relationship. William wants Greta back in his life, regardless of what she'd done in the past. His remaining daughter remains with her mother, and he wants to make the most of their time together. When Cal invites Greta to the island, William wants Apollo to have a conversation with her. Apollo pledges to find Emma on behalf of the former if he is successful in achieving the same. To persuade Apollo that he has the means to assist the used book trader, he sends the latter Emma's pictures. In the end of the episode, the red suitcase that Lillian drags into the pier is seen in the bottom of the river, underscoring its unclear importance. It is possible that Apollo's father, Brian West, on the suitcase. It seems likely that Lillian's facial wounds resulted from a struggle with her husband, as she must have disposed of the same in the river after they split up. In order to totally erase Brian from her and her son's lives, the luggage had to have had his possessions, which Lillian had to get rid of. The items in the luggage may be the same ones Apollo was given as a child in a cardboard box marked Improbabilia. That may be the cause of Lillian's surprise at discovering Brian's belongings back in her flat. Apollo's development was greatly aided by Brian's resources, as he is always true to avoid being just another Apollo. He was reminded by the same materials of Brian's lack of support. Apollo, who may now be thinking that he became what he had always wished to avoid being, must be hating himself for failing to protect his son Brian.